So welcome everyone to today's IAPC&M CPD Building Masterclass. My name is 𝘠𝘠𝘁𝘁 and we were just discussing where in the world we all are, and I am based in the Netherlands. So today we welcome Mary Cravets, an award-winning client generation expert and an international speaker who helps coaches grow their businesses without working nights and weekends. And that really is music to my ears, because I feel that increasingly we're supposed to do more and more. And, you know, that's not sometimes what we want to do with our time. So welcome, Mary. Great to have you here. A little bit of housekeeping first. As always, our call today will be a maximum of 1 hour, and that includes 15 minutes Q&A. Mary will explain her housekeeping for us in a second. Feel free to use the box for any questions or comments, and if you want to hold on to your question for later, use the box. Now, the session is recorded, so it helps for sound quality to mute yourself unless you're being asked a question or want to ask something yourself. But it would be great if you could keep your video on. It just makes it so much more enjoyable for us all. So our topic today, a great one for 2025, more clients, less marketing, create more leads and income in 2025 by doing less. That sounds really good to me. Needless to say, have your pen and your CPD pads ready so that you can make copious notes in order to also be able to implement it afterwards. So I shall now pass over to you, Mary.
Great. Thank you so much, Julie. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me here. I'm calling in from California today, nowhere near the fires, which is always the first question I get asked. So, you know, this title, More Clients, Less Marketing, I've been doing this presentation for 10 years. 10 years for ICF coaches, for the IAPC&M. I always get the initials wrong. And the thing that I want to always stay away from is these like overblown promises, because the fact is that this takes work. More clients, less marketing comes from a degree of strategic intentionality. And so that's what I want you to keep your eyes on here. It's like, where can you get more intentional? It's all about kind of leveraging what's going to work best and dropping what is just a waste of time. So it's not magic. I'm not promising it's magic. It is work, but it's work that is, it's less work. It feels more genuine and it gets better results. So I'm going to jump right into my content with that little prep for us. All right. So just to get us started off, I'd love to see by a show of hands, how many of you ever feel like this? Like my brain just has too many tabs open, so many things going on. All right, I see the nods and the smiles. Yeah. Well, the good news is that today is not going to be about doing more and more and more. It's not 72 steps to simplify your marketing. Today is understanding how to maximize what's already working, because what I know about you, you're showing up here, you know you're good, you're talented, you're intelligent, your heart's in the right place. And you probably are feeling a little frustration about finding clients. Maybe it's harder than you expected. And so you're looking for some structure and strategy so you can be spending more time coaching and less time marketing while getting all the clients that you'd like. So this is our topic today, more clients, less marketing, how to create more leads and income by doing less. Now, this is really designed for both newer coaches who maybe want to stop worrying about where your next client is coming from, or if you're a little bit more seasoned down the road a little bit and you're looking for insights as to how to streamline your client generation. So you're getting better results without putting more work on your plate. So how are we going to do that? Well, what we'll cover today is, number one, a simple mindset tool that melts resistance to implementing marketing. Can't tell you how many coaches say, oh, marketing, sales, it's so icky. So we've got to work with the mindset first. Second, you're going to create a customized lead generation strategy that will allow you to stop wasting time and money on things that don't work. And then we're going to go over the 6 essential elements of an effective client generation plan that makes it easier to attract clients, grow your income, and make a bigger impact in the world. And then the last piece of the puzzle, which Julie already mentioned, which is about implementing, we're going to have some time towards the end to talk about creating lasting impact. I want you to be able to turn this information into actual business shift, business transformation. Before you rush off to your next appointment, we're going to take some time to do a little planning and reflecting. Okay, a few housekeeping items. I've made some time about halfway through for some Q&A, and then we might have some time towards the end for a few more questions. So if you do put a question into the chat, I'm going to hold looking at it until I get to the Q&A section so that I can keep all of the teaching intact. All right, this is going to sound awkward to those of you who are on the call live, but if you are listening to the recording right now, any resources I might mention during this session, you are more than welcome to reach out for them, even if you're listening to this, 3 days a week, 3 months from now. And a last thing is a tip about how to get the most out of today, and that is to do your homework in class. So do as many of the exercises and assessments today. Ask questions. Do everything you can during our time here today so you can get all of your questions answered and have a shorter to-do list afterwards. Sound good? Okay, so now that we have housekeeping out of the way, I'm going to ask you to open up your chat. I'm going to ask you to open up your chat and put your fingers on the keyboard, and I'm going to ask you a question. And without overthinking, just put the first thing that comes to mind into the chat. And here's the question. So why is this topic important to you? I imagine you probably have a to-do list with a few items on it. You might even have a few other places you could have been, but you're here today. So why is this topic important to you? All right, so I've got someone saying, I am a new coach. I feel like I'm spinning some days. Thanks for sharing that. I want to market my line of work. All right, yeah, and more people are still joining us. Look at that. It is too much advice out there. Oh yes, there are so many people, so many experts, and sometimes it's very frustrating to be a part of the industry. I'm hoping today what you'll see is this is a framework you can utilize to kind of organize some of the things you may have already learned, and be able to rule out some of the things that aren't going to work. Let's see. I want to reach more people. Overwhelmed with marketing options. I'm a fairly new coach, spending most of my time marketing, so efficiency is key. Wonderful. Marketing feels like a full-time job. Yes, I don't like marketing and want to keep it simple. I'm actually anxious to begin coaching a coaching business, and a new coach. I want to promote what I do. Okay, fabulous. Well, you were all in the right place. I feel like I'm in the right place now. I always like to do a double check. And so I'd like to kick us off with just a little background. I'm going to build this content from the ground up. And I just want to pull back the curtain on where this comes from just for a moment, because I don't know about you, but I have learned from so many people, and some of them, I swear, it's like they read a book last week and they're teaching it to me this week, or it's theoretical. So I want you to know that everything I'm going to teach today is from my in the trenches experience. So now I run from my home a 14-year-old training school. I've helped thousands of coaches grow their businesses, and it's incredibly fulfilling work. But when I started, it didn't look anything like this. And you might be able to relate, because my first step was I leapt out of a stable but soul-crushing work situation, and it was so great. I mean, I was immediately like, I am on fire. I'm aligned with my values. I'm leveraging my strengths. I'm contributing to the prosperity of others. But I was also running in a dozen different directions. I was not charging what I was worth. I didn't even know what I should be charging. My marketing strategy was basically spaghetti against the wall, just trying new things, seeing what sticks. And what did this approach get me? Well, so I'm sure it's no surprise to hear that at the 2-year mark, I had complete burnout. I was diagnosed with extreme adrenal exhaustion, and suddenly the time and energy I could devote to my business was severely restricted. So as I was struggling to figure out how do I get through this health crisis, a question broke through and it changed my business forever. So, and then this is the first thing I do recommend you write down. So the question that broke through was simply, what's working? That was it. What's working? Because I didn't have time or energy to chase down the latest, greatest marketing trend or figure out what social media was doing with its algorithms this week. I needed to know that whatever strategies I put my very limited energy into, it would actually produce results. And starting with that one question, my business actually started to grow as I recovered my health. And over time, it evolved into this bigger client generation system. And that's what you're looking at here. This is the reason my clients consistently increase their businesses 50% or more. It's what's helped me grow my business. And this is the thing that gives us a sense of relief, knowing that whatever life throws at you, your business isn't going to grind to a halt because you want to enjoy your freedoms, or your family needs you, or you have a health issue. And you can keep going, keep earning, and keep making an impact. It's what I'm going to share with you today. So we're going to start with a simple mindset tool that melts your resistance to marketing. Because here's the thing, you could learn the most fabulous thing ever here today. And if you always put marketing and client generation, if they always fall to the bottom of your list, or you have resistance to putting yourself out there, you're going to snap back to doing what you've always done. So here is the tool. It is a single, simple question that gently but persistently shifts your perspective. The question is, am I willing for this to be easy? That's it. Am I willing for this to be easy? And this works because our brains are basically wired to say yes. So whatever we feed it, it's going to go look for proof. It's going to align with it. And so if you're saying to yourself, this is going to be difficult, this is going to be icky, this is going to be pushy, your mind is going to show you all the evidence to prove you right. It's going to say yes. But when you start using this tool, and it just slips behind our defenses because it's about willingness and it's a question. And if you start using it like a mantra, am I willing for this to be easy? Am I willing for this to be easy? Your brain says, yeah, let me do away with all that pesky stress and resistance. Let me show you proof. Let me show you the way to make this easier. And this isn't just like an airy-fairy thing to do. This makes a foundational difference in your stress levels and in the results of your business. And I love teaching through stories, so I want to share this one. So this is Candace. She was feeling so stuck, so stressed and scattered. She has an established training and coaching company, and she had tried over and over to scale up her company, but she kept snapping back to doing what she'd always done. She was exhausted, couldn't make the income she wanted. And when she was working, she felt guilty for not being with her family. When she was with her family, she felt guilty for not working. And at the most fundamental level, she assumed and believed that business had to be hard and stress was just the sacrifice you have to endure if you want to succeed. So before we could dive into strategies like her pricing and delegation and marketing and so forth, we had to address her mindset. But using this question as a foundation and then building the strategy from there, she was able to double her business 2 years in a row and take off more time than she expected. So this is our foundation. And now it's going to be time to roll up your sleeves and do some work. You're going to create a customized lead generation strategy that will allow you to stop wasting time and money on things that don't work. Because now some of you even mentioned this in the chat. There's so many ways to get the word out. There's so many ways to market. How do you distinguish your winning combination of lead generation actions from all the noise and the advice and the gurus out there? Well, that's what we're going to start on next. So just to give you an idea of where we are on this bigger map, we're going to start your custom formula today. So to do that, the very first step is you're going to stop the overwhelm. So if you have the handout, fantastic. You've got a little grid on there or a little table on there that you're going to work with, and you're going to start in the left-hand column. If you don't have the handout, don't worry. Just take out a piece of paper or a document. You're going to need to create 2 columns to do this exercise. So the first thing we're going to do is stop the overwhelm. Because it's no surprise that the things you do to grow your business take your energy, but what is stealing your energy and your attention and your focus is all the things you're considering doing, the things you're worried about, but oh, should I do this or that? All of that spinning indecision just steals your energy and it gets you nowhere. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to handle it. So what you're going to do is you're going to get all of this out of your mind and onto paper. I'm going to give you a 1-minute speed round brainstorm time. So you're going to list all of the marketing activities you do consistently, everything you do inconsistently, anything you think you should be doing, because it's what you see everybody doing, and anything you're curious about trying. Now, to be clear, this is not about figuring out what you should do. This is about clearing your mind. So it's about quantity, not quality. We'll get to quality in a minute. So I'm going to put a minute on the clock so that you can do this brainstorm starting now. Got about 20 seconds. All right, and that's our time. So your brainstorm may look something like this. By the way, this is not the answer key. This is an example. And this is the biggest marketing trap, trying to do it all, spreading yourself a mile wide and an inch deep. This is not how you get traction. And this is how you spend a lot more time on marketing than you absolutely need to. It's completely overwhelming. So the next step is we've got to identify what works for you. You're going to further focus in on the marketing activities that will bring you great clients. So in the second column, what I'm going to ask you to do is write down the names of your top 5 paying clients. Now, only write down the names of clients who are great examples of your ideal client. You see that smiley face up in the upper right corner? Yeah, that's what that means. Only list clients who are easy to work with. They appreciate your expertise. They pay you on time without haggling, because it's important not to include any PITA clients, those pain in the ass clients who make you cringe or give you that sinking feeling in your stomach, because this plan that we're creating today is going to help you multiply whatever you put in that second column. So make sure you're multiplying the right thing. Now, if you are a newer coach and you don't have 5 paying clients, hold on. I'm going to show you a different evaluation. So I promise I will not leave you out. Just hang on for a second. All right, for the rest of you, how do you create a bridge between your marketing actions and getting clients who you just adore and who adore you right back? Well, you're going to simply draw a line from the name of the client back to the marketing strategy or activity that brought them to your door. And usually what you'll find is there is a concentration. This will show you where to focus your precious time and energy so you get the best results. Because the custom formula of marketing and client generation, it's going to only consist of about 3 to 5 strategies in order to focus and get traction. All right, so newer coaches, if you don't have 5 clients, here's how you're going to do your evaluation. I don't have a slide for this, so you're just going to get to listen. So I'm going to ask you to write down 3 words. 3 words. The first word is like. The second word is know, K-N-O-W, as in knowledge. So like, know, and results. Like, know, results. All right, so you're going to take your brainstorm and you're going to go through it 3 times. The first time you're going to go through it, you're going to look for which of these things do I like to do? And you're going to put a check mark next to the things you like to do, because those are the things you're going to have the least resistance to trying out. So check mark next to the things you like to do. Second, you're going to go through the list again and put a check mark next to all the things you know how to do right now. This reduces or eliminates your learning curve, again, so that you can get into action more quickly. And the third thing is putting a check mark next to the items that get results in your industry. What are the things that get results in your industry? And so put a check mark next to those things. When you find those items that have 3 check marks, that is where you are going to start. That is going to be your foundation of your client generation plan. And so once you have decided on what those things are, once you've identified those things, it's nice to know, but then what do you do with them? What are the next steps? So first, you're going to get specific. You're going to want to translate your strategies into actions, because the whole idea behind this is you want to find, how do I create this list of actions that are 100% under your control? How do you find that list of actions that's 100% under your control so you can be proactive instead of reactive? And if you only learned one concept here today, that would be it. To grow the business, it's about being proactive rather than reactive. So focusing on what do you have control over in your business. So you're going to translate your strategies into actions. You're going to define the activity level. So if you decide you're going to go to some networking functions, maybe you decide you're going to go to 2 per month. Great. You're going to define your activity level, and then you're going to put it into your calendar. Whether it's going to a networking event or it's reaching out to your network or whatever it is, you're going to put time, dedicate time into your calendar to actually do that, just like you would dedicate time to a client, and you would never miss a client appointment. You've got to have that same level of dedication to growing the business, and also kind of like giving it a space so it's not bleeding into every other part of your business. And then you're going to track it. You're going to track the activity you do. This activity level you defined, you're going to track it. Are you doing those things? And then what results are you getting? And where we go with our clients is this becomes like a formula of activity that produces predictable results. You know exactly what activities to do, how many, and the results become consistent. So I'm going to show you what this looks like, this principle in action. So this is John. He had a brand new executive coaching business, and he had a tremendous corporate background, but it didn't translate into attracting new clients. He'd gotten some clients, but he just wasn't able to make it consistent. It was just client generation was just a skill set he hadn't learned. So after we did the exercise you just did, we took his top strategies, and then we worked backwards from his goal. We said, what was his income goal? All right, how many clients is that? How many prospect calls is that? And then what activities need to be done in order to reach that goal of prospect calls? So this all led to a plan, a short list of activities that he does on a monthly basis, doesn't take up all his time, leverages his existing network and resources, and honored his strengths and preferences. And for him, what happened was he was able to double an already strong year. A formula with predictable results is what we're going for. Just eliminating the guesswork, the worry, the stress. All right, so now I'm going to take a couple minutes to take some questions. I'm going to remove my spotlight and just ask, what did you discover? What did you discover as you did that exercise?
Feel free to just spontaneously unmute and share.
Yes, please.
Well, I discovered I've got a lot of work to do to get this in order and not just throw an awful lot of spaghetti at the wall consistently over the past 20 years in different formats, but to actually find, to really find that balance between what I enjoy, but also what I know I would actually enjoy if I got out of my own comfort zone and went for it. And that I do need to take action if I want a different result to what I have right now.
Yeah, thank you. Lavena, I saw you unmuted, and then Caroline.
Yeah. I think for me, because I'm actually a new coach and I passed last year, I find it quite useful where I'm not someone who is an Instagram person or Facebook person. So it's actually going out of your comfort zone and actually be out there and even though I'm coaching it to other people, but to actually do it myself, I'm like, oh, I'm a bit like cringe and say, are they going to like it? Are they not going to like it? Things like that. But I know I need to start. So it was good to kind of maybe put in the calendar and start actually doing that because my website will be ready next week.
Congratulations.
So then thank you and start doing it. So because I'm also a personal stylist, So I need to start doing both together.
Oh, wonderful.
So,
Awesome. So I want to hear from Caroline, and then I'm going to give a little bit of insight into social media, because it's interesting.
I was just going to say, I found that out of doing this that I get more by speaking to people and then referrals. So that's really where I'm at. And obviously in networking, you know, just keep talking to people at different events and
yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, that's great. That so was that what you expected?
Yeah, I mean, I have done a sort of stint on posting on social media, and find it takes a lot of time up, and I wasn't really getting anything from it. So I just think I feel that people buy people. So if you are talking, you are obviously showing that you're passionate about your business, and people buy into your enthusiasm, and don't they? So
Yeah.
I think that's what comes across. That's what helps me with my clients, you know.
Yeah. And you're spot on. So I'm going to preface this kind of insight into social media and coaching industry and so forth. I'm going to preface it with the most important thing was that first question I asked, which is what's working. Okay. So if anything that I present here is contrary to what's working, and when I say what's working, it means not people saying I like you, but people hiring you. All right. So if anything works contrary to what I'm saying are kind of standard in the industry, your guide is what's working, not what I'm saying. Is that fair? I was on a workshop the other day. There was a woman from Belgium, and things worked very differently there. And I got a cultural schooling. So I want to make sure to be super sensitive to this. But in general, and I've spoken to coaches all over the world, in general, 90% of clients come through relationships, through referrals and recommendations. And how social media operates is like backup social proof. So someone says, you got to talk to Caroline. She's amazing. What are they going to do? That person is going to go online and make sure you exist. Make sure you're not a, hairdresser over here and a coach over here and a swim coach over here. You have a unified presence. They're not looking to see if you're an Instagram star. I mean, unless that's what you're coaching on. I don't know. So how this generally works is the problem is what we see out here and what's actually happening. You know what? Have you ever heard that expression? We get into trouble when we compare other people's outsides to our insides. So true for business. I've never said this before. It's so interesting. It just occurred to me. So all we see out here is social media. So there's a misconception that that's what's driving new clients. In general, it's not. In general, 90% of the time, it is referrals and relationships. And a second strategy that works, I was talking about what are the strategies that get results in your industry, referrals and relationships. Speaking is another way, because it's all about this know, like, trust. Know, like, trust. People know you, they like you, they trust you, they feel comfortable enough to hire you. Speaking is one of those ways to like quickly take a stranger and get them as far along the continuum as you possibly can by giving value and letting them see you. All right, so I'm going to go to the chat real quick, and then I have a couple resources I'm going to offer you because I realize they align with what we're talking about here. So let's see. There's a comment. As coaches, we always ask what worked for you, but the way that you asked for them to be put gave insight as to what truly works and how we can use that tool to get clients. Yeah, it's always about what's working. What's working. Like Caroline, and Caroline, am I saying your name correctly, or is it Carolyn? Where did she go? Oh, okay, she's off camera. That's all right. I've had more potential leads through face-to-face networking. Same for me. Clients have come through referrals and connections. Okay, so what's the challenge with referrals and connections? What's the challenge with that? All right, I'll give you the answer I usually get. Consistency. It's like, how do you actually make this thing that is word of mouth? Okay, thank you, Claire. Yep, gold star for Claire. So yeah, getting it consistent. It feels like this thing that just happens, and how do you actually make it like still genuine, still nurturing, but make it strategic? So that's another class. That's a longer time frame. So here's what I want to do. Because speaking and referrals are the top 2 ways that coaches get clients, I want to give you a couple of courses, my treat, to kickstart your efforts and support you beyond our time here today. It's my treat. So 2 things. There's a course I did years ago. It's called Referral Generation Made Simple. It's great if you know referrals is the way to go, but don't know how to systematically generate more. And this is a concentrated 90-minute course. It's got training, an action guide, email templates, so you don't have to waste time figuring out how to ask for referrals without feeling awkward, and you can start generating more referrals intentionally. So that's one. And the second one is for speaking. In case any of you want to do speaking, I have a course called Fill Your Speaking Calendar. This will help you know, if you know that if you could get in front of more people, you could attract more clients, but you just need that first step. Like, how do I get the opportunities? This training outlines the strategy, the templates, the checklists, everything to show you. I mean, it gives you basically what me and my team use to book speaking gigs. So if you would like those 2 resources, this is one of those opportunities to do your homework in class. I'm going to recommend you send me an email, and my email is right here below my face, mary@simplygetclients.com. And because I know that if you're anything like me, we pack our schedule and you don't want to go on to the next thing and forget to do this, recommend you do it now. I'll give you a minute to do it now. Send me an email, and all you have to do is in the subject line, why don't you just I'm putting this in the chat. You can put the subject line of smile, because I know more clients will make you smile. How's that? I'll have the most cheerful inbox in the world. So go ahead and do that right now, and I'll make sure to get those courses into your hands. By the way, you will get a flurry of emails as you get access to my learning platform, but I pinky swear promise, I don't know if that's an English expression, but it will not be like that every day. I promise. Okay, just an initial flurry. All right. I have time for one more question or comment before I go on to the next piece. All right, I'm just going to keep going then. We've got a good chunk of content, and then we'll have a little time at the end for more responses, ahas, insights, and questions. All right, so now we're going to dive into the 6 essential elements of an effective client generation plan that makes it easier to attract clients, grow your income, and make a bigger impact in the world. Now, if I were able to do like one thing for the coaching industry, it would be to help everybody stop talking about marketing and focus instead on client attraction, client generation. Because marketing is this huge thing. It's overwhelming, and it's more about being out, putting yourself out there, or being out there, which is this very fuzzy, unclear thing. Client generation is very specific. It's about attracting clients. It's not about, being known in every corner of the world. It's about helping people, having them come to you on a consistent basis. So this is, in the way that I think of coaching businesses, this is the primary system in your business. The primary system in your business, it's like an engine, is client generation. Most people do not have an overall client generation strategy. They learn a little bit here, they learn a little bit there, and there's no framework to pull all their efforts together so that they're getting more results with less effort. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to get you started on a simple evaluation to understand where you are right now, because with all of the things you've learned in the past, there are probably some things that are already tuned in, tuned up in your business. They're working great. There are other things that need some attention or clarity. And the problem is that it can just feel like it's not working without any clarity as to where to focus, where to make those improvements. But we're going to give you that time today to actually figure out what needs your attention. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through these 6 essential elements, and then you will assess how clearly defined each is in your business on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 is the ideal situation. It's the goal for each of these. It's where you have that element working at peak efficiency and clarity and allows you to do less work but get better results. 1 is the opposite, obviously. All right. So starting over here with values and vision. So when you have your values, your vision, your why completely clear, you create a sense of conviction. It gives you the courage to ask to be paid what you're worth, willingness to put yourself out there, even if you risk rejection, which we all hate. But when you have this clear, you have more courage, more willingness to put yourself out there. So on a scale of 1 to 10, are you clear about your values, your vision, and your goals? Next is pricing and packaging. So when you know that your pricing reflects the value of your services, when it's aligned with your financial goals and your packages are clearly defined, there are so many things that click into place. You can dial in exactly how much client generation activity you need to do. You don't feel put on the spot when someone asks about your programs. And when you're having a conversation with someone about hiring you, you don't get tripped up when you get to the money part of the conversation. So on a scale of 1 to 10, are you clear about that your pricing is where it needs to be to reach your financial goals without overworking? So are you clear and confident your pricing is where it needs to be for you to reach your financial goals without overworking? Scale of 1 to 10. Next is ideal client clarity. So just a tip here about ideal client. When describing your ideal client, you never start that description with the words, "I'd be willing to work with." Okay, that's like building settling into your strategy. Now, let me be clear. You can work with whoever you want, but don't build your strategy around anybody, everybody. Get clear about who is ideal. Who can you serve at the highest level? Who will pay you at the highest level? So on a scale of 1 to 10, how clear are you about who your ideal client is and where you can find prospects who can afford your services? Next is magnetic messaging. So messaging is just all the words in your business, on your website, when people ask you what you're doing, on social media, everywhere. Now, messaging is magnetic when it quickly and accurately articulates what your ideal clients want from their perspective, not yours. What your ideal clients are experiencing before they work with you. What are they dreaming about? What are they worrying about? When I'm working with my client generation cohorts, this is my favorite part of my work. It's the moment where I see people shift from this feeling like I have to explain it. Maybe I have to promote myself. Maybe I have to try to convince people that this is worthy. And they make this shift when they find those words to really own their value. And the shift then attracts. It lets people see the value very quickly. So on a scale of 1 to 10, assess how concisely you articulate the value of your services. So when you meet that ideal client, they quickly want to get into a conversation about working together. Next is lead generation. So that exercise you did today, this is the start of your new approach to lead generation. And this is focusing on the actions that get you in front of your ideal clients and lead to sales conversations. When this is clearly defined, you stop worrying about where your next client is coming from, or if you're doing the right things, or if you're doing enough things. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you about your ability to bring in new leads consistently? Last is sales and enrollment. So can you confidently convert a prospect into a paying client? This means having a process in place that removes the guesswork of how to get them to see the value. How do you explain but not over-explain what you do so that people want to work with you? So last assessment, scale of 1 to 10. Are you confident in your sales conversations, comfortable about discussing money, and consistently get hired as a result? All right, so now let's take a moment here. I'd like you to look up at the screen and look at these great gears that you'll never be able to get out of your mind. And I want you to imagine kind of the number 10 just floating above each of these gears, 10, 10, 10, 10, tens across the board. Each element working at peak efficiency and peak effectiveness. Now imagine this is your business. You're working less, you're achieving more, you're earning more, you're making a bigger impact. With tens across the board, how would that feel? What would become possible for you? And I want you to keep those possibilities in mind, because now you've chunked down where to focus your energy and attention. And now your job is to be clear and consistent, not inconsistent, be clear and consistent with your actions. And that's key, not getting distracted, not reinventing the wheel if you don't get results right away. So what do you need to put in place now in order to stay on track and be consistent? And this is a question we have to answer with pretty much every single one of my clients. And I want to give you a great example of this. This is Kimberly. She, like most coaches, her vision, her values were very clear. Why she was doing this was clear, but how to attract clients was not. She was just so passionate about what she was doing, but feeling so discouraged because she was just constantly second guessing where to put her efforts to grow her business. And, and the thing is, like me and maybe like you, she has a creative streak also. And so she kept trying new things to grow the business, but trying new things, it kept putting her back at the starting line of her strategy. So we worked together in my client attraction engine program to create a plan and a structure that didn't crush her creativity, but rather focused it, channeled it more strategically. So she knew with certainty that the work she did for her business would actually pay off. And here's how she described it. This was early days in her business. We built the plan for attracting clients. It was so specific, so obvious. It became clear exactly how it would get done. And she was able to take the leap and leave her corporate job. Now, this was many years ago. Since this time, she's rebranded. She's hired on other coaches. She's done just amazing things, but it all started with being incredibly intentional and strategic about the primary system in her business, client generation. All right, so I know you're super happy for Kimberly right now, but let's take a moment to create some lasting impact for you from what you learned here today. All right, so from what I had you learn here today, I'm gonna dig a little bit deeper. This is that kind of planning, thinking moment that we're gonna take to make sure this lasts beyond our time here today. So the first thing I'm gonna have you do to create that lasting impact is to self-diagnose your top challenge. Usually what I find with my clients is it's either your strategy is shaky, your lead generation process is unclear, or your implementation is inconsistent. So let me flesh this out for you. If it's your strategy, here's what your day usually looks like. You get up every day, you start working, you're off and running, you're no stranger to hard work. But at the end of the day, you look around and wonder, what did I do to actually grow my business intentionally? You're often feeling reactive and busy, but not completely convinced that your work is actually developing new business and new clients. So that's a strategy challenge. All right, so then how do you know if it's a lead generation process challenge? Well, then maybe for you, everything's very hit or miss. You're like pulling in some clients, but it's very inconsistent. It's that income roller coaster. One day you're on cloud 9, the next day just blows. And when you get up in the morning, you never know what you're going to get. So that's usually a lead generation challenge. And then how do you know it's implementation? Well, several things could be going on here. You could be growing so fast you actually need to hire, but you don't have the time. So you just don't have time to do it all. Maybe you're just getting distracted by bright, shiny objects, always starting a new thing. Or here's the most common one for my clients is you've got color-coded everything going on. You love strategic planning. It's all mapped out. And you, at the end of the day, realize you've reworked your plan, but haven't put it into action. Okay, so all three of those are implementation challenges. So now with that information, take a look at your notes from today, the ratings in the last exercise, this self-evaluation, see what's standing out for you. Are there any patterns that you're starting to notice? Now we'll have a little time to talk about this in a minute, but just right now, I want you to self-reflect and make note of anything you're noticing. All right, so regardless of which one seems to be your biggest challenge, I do want you to know two things about this. Number one, it's always more than one. So you've got one main challenge, but I can guarantee the other two are going to show up. And number two, solving these challenges, that's why I'm here. This is my superpower. It's the way I make an impact for change makers like you. So in a minute, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into a second question to create lasting impact. And it is definitely the bigger question. But before we tackle that one, I want to give the logical side of your brain a break and get into the creative centers of your mind. Just get that part of your mind on board. So let's do this. I'm going to ask you to put your pen down for a minute, take your hands off the keyboard, maybe take a deep breath, close your eyes if you're comfortable with that. And I invite you to imagine having a steady stream of great clients coming in. These are clients who happily pay you what you're worth. You're making a difference. And you're making an income that makes you smile and lets you relax. You're known for your expertise and your brilliance. And to attract those clients, you have a plan. And it's not just any plan. It's a plan full of things you love to implement, things that are simple and clear. So every part of your business feels genuine and natural. You know what to do. You know where to go, and you know what to say to take prospective clients from that first introduction to signing on the bottom line as a client. And you do this with confidence and with consistency and with ease. All right, take another deep breath. Open your eyes. All right, is that a vision you could get behind? Yes? All right, I hope so. All right, so ready for the second question? It's a simple one. It is, what is your plan? What is your plan to address your biggest challenge or to get tens across the board with client generation? And how will you integrate that into your current business? Now, if this is bringing up some stress for you, don't worry. I'm going to show you how you can get some help in a minute, but get started now. Jot down the first few ideas that pop into your head to get that plan started. So you'll want to set aside some time to flesh out this plan later, but here's the thing. If you've already been struggling for a while to come up with a plan, or maybe something shifted in your business and the old plan just isn't working anymore, then let's schedule a time to talk and figure it out together. Because regardless if you're in your first few years of business or you're down the road a bit and things have gotten messy, scheduling some time to talk is a perfect option if you've just been feeling stuck, like you're spinning your wheels and you just can't put your finger on why that is. So together on this breakthrough call, it's a complimentary call, we're going to sit down and we're going to map out where to focus your efforts in the next 3 to 6 months. So you're clear about the best use of your time and energy based on the specific phase of business you're in right now. And the thing is, this is great for people who have a big vision. They want to create significant impact. and significant income. But when you sit down at your desk each day to actually put that into action, you're feeling a bit stumped. If that's the case, then this is definitely the right time for a conversation. All right, I'm going to give you the link to my calendar in a second, but before I do, I have 2 criteria to qualify for the call. So number 1, you've got to be willing to accept straightforward feedback. It's a short call, so we do need to get to the point. And the second thing is, I ask that you be open to consider investing in yourself if we both see that working together further is going to give you that 10s across the board plan, so you're enrolling new clients consistently without working nights and weekends. Is that fair enough? Okay. So here's the link. It's breakthroughcall.biz. Breakthroughcall.biz. That's my calendar link. Get straight on there. I'm going to put it in the chat as well. And we're doing so fabulous on time. Again, if you are listening to the replay, you are also invited to take advantage of this opportunity as well. All right. So before we wrap up, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a story. So at the beginning of our conversation today, I mentioned that when I started my business, I was getting out of a stable work situation that I hated. And the thing was, that was a business. That wasn't a job. And it was a real awakening for me to know that I could create a business that drove me just as crazy as my corporate jobs that I'd had in the past. And so 15 years ago, I was just going crazy. I was busy every day, but I wasn't strategic. I was settling for small successes. I was undervaluing my services. I just couldn't figure out what to do next. But fortunately, I went to a presentation kind of like this. And in the middle of the presentation, the speaker said one thing that made not knowing what my next step was, it made it irrelevant. I just didn't care anymore. I just couldn't take it anymore. It just lit a fire in me. And after that meeting, I quit my business. I phased out my clients, and I made space for stepping into my strengths, my big impact vision, and tremendous results followed. So here is the quote. A major source of unhappiness in the world is people settling for what is passable instead of reaching for what is possible. And whenever I think of the coaching industry, this is what I feel like you're doing every single day. When you have the clients, when you are making the impact, this is what you are doing. You are encouraging the whole world to stop settling for what is passable and reach for what is possible. So I thank you for the work you do, and I encourage you to do more of it. All right, and we have 6.5 minutes.
6.5 minutes. So I won't talk so much to start with, but a thank you, a huge thank you. I mean, on behalf of IAPC&M and everybody here, for your wisdom, your energy, the way you just make it simple. And personally, because I have had an awful lot of breakthroughs here, I'm actually feeling quite emotional about it all. So I thank you personally as well. Right, questions. I don't want to take up extra time with my own blubbering on. Who has a question? Okay, I see some. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Anybody want to make use of the fact that Mary is actually here? She has provided us with incredible resources we can use afterwards. But does anybody have like a burning question you'd like to put to her here and now? Don't be shy. Anything goes. No one?
Question,
You're all...
or an aha, or verbalizing the next step you're going to take. All of those things help kind of root what you've done here. I'm glad everyone's so inspired. Yay.
Monica, go ahead.
It's not a question. I think is what came out for me from this is that honesty with yourself. It's that kind of I'm looking now on my strategy, because for the last 12 months I was living on hope. That's you know, and when people talk to you, what's your strategy or what you're doing, and I'm just like, you know, things are flowing, so I'm like, okay, it's working. So I think what came across to me today is actually writing it down and just be honest with yourself. And like you said, you know, if you book a call with someone, how much are you actually willing to take that, you know, not criticism, but feedback, and, you know, because you do that to people, right? You coach them, you hope that that's what they're going to do. So, and then when comes to myself, I suppose, is a bit hard. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, being honest. And one of the things that I wish I could somehow speed up people's realization around is that client generation is a skill set. It is separate from coaching. It is separate from your corporate background. It is separate from anything you've ever done before. And so I watch people every day beat themselves up because they don't know it. And I'm here to tell you, it's not intuitive. It's not based on anything you've done before. When I went to my first messaging workshop, it was 3 days and I cried for 2.5 of them because it was such a different way of thinking. So going it alone, I mean, everyone here is bright and your heart's in the right place and you will figure it out eventually. But it's a skill set. You know, you wouldn't expect to have a doctorate without going to college. So get support around this. I mean, if I'm not your cup of tea, you know, go ask somebody else, but get trained around this and get trained in a cohesive system, not, oh, I'm going to go learn Instagram today and I'm going to talk about my vision tomorrow. It's got to all work together or you're going to be spending way more time than you actually want to on it.
I agree with that. Thank you, Mary. I see that Claire has put a comment and Cynthia's actually asked you a question. Yes. How do you know that the strategy you come up with will work?
You know, there is only one way, and that is to do it, repeat it, track it, do it, repeat it, track it. And, you know, use the clues. Use the clues. The clues are what's working in your own business. The clues are what works in your industry. And there is no guarantee that any one thing will work. But I'll tell you the worst thing to do, and that is to do it alone. I cannot emphasize this enough. And you know, this is uncomfortable for me. I got to tell you, because I've seen too many people who will say to you, you know, oh, if you don't do this strategy, if you don't work with me, you're going to fail, and you're going to, you know, and that's just garbage. It is so disempowering and so self-serving. So I say this, whether we ever, you know, cross paths again or work together again, the worst thing to do is to go it alone and to take the long road of trying to figure everything out by yourself and try to hold yourself accountable to something that is so foreign, so unfamiliar, so uncomfortable, and something that you know, naturally don't really want to do anyway. It's like, and one last thing before Julie, it's good to get together with coaches. And also you have to get together with coaches who have actually done it, who have actually succeeded with it. You can't, because it's, okay, I mean this in the most loving way possible. It's the blind leading the blind. Okay. I've watched groups of cohorts of coaches get together and talk about their marketing, and there's no cohesive strategy to root down into. So please talk to your experts. I am not a coach. And I considered becoming a coach because I was like, maybe that's more credibility, but I kind of like being the disruptive outsider. I'm going to stay that way. So find your disruptive outsider that is your right fit and learn from them.
And what I was going to ask was, how long is long enough? Because I think a lot of us, we get all pumped up about one strategy and try that, and, you know, then throw our hands up in horror when it gets hard and move on to something else. But I also see that Lovena's asked you if she can book the breakthrough call in 6 months because she's just starting out. Yes?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So how long should we stick to it before we move on?
How long do you stick to it? You know what? It's hard to say without seeing the strategy, because if your strategy is, I'm going to talk to 3 people a month and I'm going to do, 2 outreaches to potentially speak and go to a networking meeting every other month, then you're going to need about 12 years to prove out that strategy because it's not enough activity. When I talk about a formula, I mean that very literally. That there is a certain amount of activity that needs to be done to produce certain results. So if you've got your formula together and you are executing it and, the whole strategy is pulled together, you want to be seeing movement in 3 months I do a
Right.
program where I give assignments in the first week, and people are seeing, like, the goal is to create 10 new leads in the first 90 days, because we have to get people into movement. So if you are very specific about your activities, you can see results in a week or 2 or 3. But it's such a, you're asking such a big question.
Yeah, it is a big question. Yeah.
I will say there's this interesting thing that happens with most of the clients I work with, and most of the people who follow this strategy, who really get their formula dialed in. And that is you'll get a quick burst at the beginning of activity and responses, and everyone's loving it. And then around the 4 to 5 month mark, you are going, am I crazy? This is stupid. Should I keep going? And if you had that burst of activity and you've got your formula like strategy all spelled out, then around the 5 or 6 month mark, almost without fail, it is the keep going, keep planting seeds, because that's the lull that is there to deceive you.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you very much. We have got to the end. So, Mary, I do want to say another thank you for your time, your wisdom, all the free resources, the free breakthrough call, etc. Thank you for all of that. It will all be in the show notes as well. Thank you to all of you for having made time today in order to really, get something out of this. And I very much appreciate the fact, Mary, that you had that, how to make it lasting, not just something that we listen to and then go on to the next thing. And for those of you, the usual suspects who've been on here for a long time, this is actually my last hosting. I've been doing it for 3 years. Time to leave room for new IAPC&M host energy. You know where to find me. Use me on LinkedIn, etc. And I'm sure, seeing my love affair with the IAPC&M over the last 17 years, that I will be back in some function or another. So all the very best to you all. Good luck with your businesses and everything. And Mary, thank you for helping us keep strategy and simple. All the very best.
Thanks, Julie.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.